Oh, so I didn't know that.
Hello, everyone.
We're just gobble talking.
We are
turkey.
talking about our Thanksgiving menus. Are you a turkey person or a honey baked ham person?
So I
Let
love
us know in the comments.
both. I didn't know how expensive honey baked ham was because I was kind of bringing up menu prices to Adam this week. We actually ended up making reservations at the Palm because they do a really good Thanksgiving. But
Yeah, I mean, when you factor in the stress and the cleaning, it's probably cheaper just to go out
right, and
if it's just the two of you. Yeah,
Yeah, and so
absolutely.
I was like, "Why don't we do honey baked ham?" And he's like, "You do realize it's like 30 a pound just for the meat? Like that's before you get." And I was like, "Well, crap. Then we should go out to the Palm where it's $50 for a 3-course meal." Who knew? I looked it up this morning.
Oh, wow, that's a
Yeah,
great deal.
yeah, 3-course meal, and I was like, "This is cheaper than if we bought like honey baked ham and all."
Well, maybe we should cancel our plans and just take our friends and family to the Palm. I don't know if which Palm.
Oh, so nationwide, all the
Oh,
Palms
wow.
do their Thanksgiving.
Even
Yeah.
the one at Orlando, only
Yep.
$50.
Even the one in Orlando.
I'm returning the turkey legs we bought.
Yes. And you know what? I love the Palm in Orlando. The chicken parm sliders on happy hour, so good.
Oh, and the burger. They have a happy hour burger.
Prime burger.
Okay, all right. We can't sit here talking about food all day. We've got IAAPA and cruise ships and other things to talk about. Before we run into that, let's just say hi to our folks who are listening to us blather on in the chat, like our good friend Michael Bingham, always in first, wishing everyone a happy pre-Thanksgiving. He's taking a break. He had a lot of adventures at Universal and Disney last week. So I'm glad you're settling in with our podcast today. Welcome, Michael. Also, welcome to Blossom and Michelangelo in Derek Ho's Corner, as always. Hello, folks. And Vince Lamb is checking in. Shopping reminder to us. Thank you. Started shopping for Thanksgiving. Yes, we are just about done with our Thanksgiving shopping. But now that Carly has given me this idea to go to the Palm, I don't know, maybe I have to dig out those receipts and take it all back. I don't know, though. Is the Palm going to have the green beans with the Campbell's cream of mushroom soup and the crunchy French onions on top?
They do have green beans. I did look at the menu, so.
Sweet potatoes with marshmallow.
They do have mashed sweet potatoes.
Yeah, but not marshmallow.
Right.
See, I think they might be a little too sophisticated for my Thanksgiving tastes. Brian Sager did Cracker Barrel for Thanksgiving Day catering. That's a smart idea. One year, we got our turkey from Popeyes. They had like a pre-seasoned Cajun half-cooked turkey.
Oh, that sounds so good.
It actually still ended up being quite a lot of work to fully cook it, but it was really well seasoned, I will say.
Yeah, and fried turkey. That's really good.
And Brian wants to know how many pitchforks and torches are out for the Muppets news that we will definitely be talking about later this show.
Yes.
Yeah, that may lead to some fights across the Thanksgiving Day table at some families. Living with Diz is wishing everyone a happy Monday afternoon. And is excited for 3 football games. Yep. In Derek Ho's Corner, they're rooting for the Cowboys, and Vince Lamb is in Detroit, so he says, "Go Lions." And I am not even going to get into that debate. So I think it is time, since we've got more than 50 people watching, to jump right into this week's show.
Sounds good.
Shall we kick it off in 3, 2?
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I am Seth.
And I'm Carly.
And we're here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. And we're going to talk about the things that I did this week in the news. coming up very soon. So, Carly, what have you been up to this week?
Well, you know what? Kind of the same too, because I have been living in Muppet mayhem since the news, which we're going to get to. Kind of took over my life. I will say, thanks to you, I had the awesome opportunity to speak this weekend to the theme park historian Jim Hill for another Muppets piece that I'm working on this week. So kind of just been living in Muppet world. I've had Disney Plus on in the background playing all things Muppets. Yes, so that has been my life as I prepare to enter Thanksgiving, where I'm gonna not work for the weekend.
Yeah, I was not thrilled about that news this week, and we'll definitely be talking about that. But I am so excited that you got to talk to Jim. He was someone who helped give me my start way back at the very beginning, and he has so many great stories to tell. A lot of them are unfinished over the years, so I'm glad that this is another opportunity to come around and get that story of the great movie, the great Muppet movie ride out to the public. Such a shame. Well, I got to visit some of the things that we're going to talk about right now as we jump into the news in the queue. Well, your week was dominated by the Muppets. My week was dominated by IAAPA, the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions, otherwise known as IAAPA, held their annual expo at the Orange County Convention Center here in Orlando. And I gotta say, I've been going to this for at least 15 years now. And this was by far the biggest expo since COVID, and honestly, maybe the biggest expo I can ever remember. Just every corner of the giant show floor was full. You know, we had a couple of years there where there's some dead spaces, and empty room. There was no empty space. They expanded up into the upper concourses. Our friend Dan Caro from Gatorland got to curate a new haunted exhibition of haunt props. There was a new street food vendor area where you got to try food. Keep an eye out for Korean twisted taters. Seoul to table, Korean flavored spiral potatoes on a stick coming to a theme park near you. They were delicious.
That sounds amazing. Wow.
But I think the thing that most people are going to be interested in are the rides. Disney and Universal do not unveil their new rides at this, but just about everyone else does. And we got a look at some of the roller coasters, the big e-tickets that are coming to parks around the country, around the world in the next year, and some of them look really great. So I encourage you to go to attractionsmagazine.com and look at the full article. But we're going to run through a few of the highlights as captured by our reporter, John Self, who I ran into a couple of times. He was hustling with the camera, getting photos for us here at Attractions Magazine of all of these press releases and announcements and unveilings. We're going to start out with Alpen Fury, which is coming from Premier Rides. This is going into Canada's Wonderland in Ontario, Canada, and it's going to be a record-setting launch coaster for the Canadian market. It's a pretty blue, kind of a frost-colored car with very open bucket seats. Nothing kind of surrounding you. It does have a floor. But it looks like it's kind of built with just a lap bar to be as least restrictive as possible.
Yes, I'm really excited for this attraction, and I think this is what's going to get me to go up to Canada.
I have never been to Canada's Wonderland.
No, me neither.
Yeah, it's up there in Ontario, and maybe we'll have to pay a visit. A little closer to home, SeaWorld Orlando. We know that they are putting a flying theater attraction into what used to be the Wild Arctic. And it's going to be an Arctic themed attraction. They've already showed us some images from the film that they've filmed for this. But now we have a look at the model. The model was actually animated. There was a little button on it that you could turn or that you could press that would turn the seats around. And this basically looks kind of similar to Soarin.
Yep.
It's got 3 levels. It actually is probably most similar to the Legoland Lego Movie flying theater that they've got in the setup with the 3 levels where you load up on 3 different levels. But the kind of unique thing that Mach is doing with their model of the flying theater is that it's got 2 rows of seats on each level back to back. So while one set of people are watching the film, the other set of people can be behind them loading in. And then when the ride ends, they just rotate the whole thing 180 degrees. And now the people who are watching can now unload and they load new people while the people who are on the other side get to experience the ride.
Interesting.
So
do I hear the people on the other side?
that's a good question. They will have to have some good soundproofing to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, I don't want
That is an excellent question.
Yes, I need to be immersed. I don't want
Yeah.
to be kicked under my seat.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they would probably have to do it with little like in-chair speakers rather than big speakers filling the whole room, I would imagine. But yeah, we will see that when this opens at a yet to be determined date sometime in 2025. Up in King's Dominion at Doswell, Virginia, Bollinger and Malblard, or B&M for people who can't pronounce those names like me. They showed off their new wing coaster train. It's going to be called Tera, and it's launching next year. And it has a, I think it's almost a very 70s color palette. It's kind of orange, brown, and gold. We would call them harvest tones, and they would be perfect for like my kitchen back in 1978.
I kind of love it.
Yeah. I think the one reveal that excited me the most in all of IAAPA was Teon Beast, which is coming to a brand new park called Vedanta World Bonn. This is in the Nuevo Riviera resort area in Mexico.
Yes, and it's going to be like a luxury theme park.
It is, yes.
Billing it as.
This was I did not have this on my bingo card at all. I had this nowhere on my radar. This is kind of a resort where they've had hotels and things like that for a while, but they are building out not just a little theme park, 23 major attractions. That's more rides than Epic Universe is going to have on opening day.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what happened. They announced this the day Epic Universe opening date was announced. So
and it got completely buried.
It did, and I saw it, and I really wanted to cover it. I just didn't have the brain power or bandwidth to do it in that moment. It was also when Silver Dollar City made their announcement, so it was poor timing. Which I know it's so hard. You plan these things out, but I want to know more.
So they showed off a few rides. Vekoma is building this one called Teon Beast, which has an amazing Mesoamerican statue of a dragon as the front car, as the Zero car. Looks amazing. And it's going to be a multi-launch coaster they say is going to be record-setting for Mexico. But they've also got family coasters. They've got boat rides. They have basically a Mexican version of the Pirates ride from Europa Park, the one that burnt down and was rebuilt a few years ago and is basically just as good as Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean. And they are building a Mexican version of that for them. They're also getting a version of the Arthur's and ride that is a suspended family coaster with rotating seats. So it's half dark ride, half coaster. And they're getting a version of that with a all new IP and theme storyline. The renderings of this park just look amazing, and they're pitching it as a luxury experience. So I assume that everyone is going to feel like they've got a fast pass, that the attendance will be limited enough that you're not going to be waiting in long lines for these attractions. It just looks absolutely stunning. I know I will never personally be able to afford to go, but it really it made me excited. It made me wish that I was in a different tax bracket so I could
Yes.
see it in person.
I will remain cautiously optimistic because I loved Kathmandu and Punta Cana, and that didn't even last a year.
I know I
don't know, if people going on a beach-centric vacation want to go to an amusement or theme park. I don't know is it too hot? Is it just not something you want to do? I don't know, but this park looks like it is going to be top notch. So I want it to succeed.
What I will say is the renderings show that they have put a lot of effort into placemaking in terms of foliage and rock work and making it feel lush and vibrant and not just like we have to leave the beach and go into a parking lot with some roller coasters on it. It does look like a very welcoming environment. And I also say they've got a new Cirque du Soleil show called Ludo, which is going to be a new aquatic Cirque du Soleil show. If you've ever seen O out at the Bellagio at Las Vegas, which is still one of their most popular shows, the head of Cirque was there at IAAPA for the announcement, and he said that this is going to take everything they did in O to a whole new level. 20 years later, new technology. It's going to be in the round with an aquarium surrounding the audience. So people are going to be diving in the middle and diving around you. It just looks absolutely astounding.
Agreed. Yeah, this whole complex looks amazing. I think it's just like the poor timing of the news. So hopefully,
they got buried by Epic. But it blows my mind. This is opening in 2026. This is not that far away. And the Cirque show is going to open by the end of 2025. So it's coming fast. Over in Hershey, Pennsylvania, Hershey Park is getting Twizzlers Twisted Gravity, which is a record-setting swing ride from S&S Worldwide. And they were giving us Twizzlers to eat while we waited for the
love that
the announcement. So that definitely helped. And this one, it's very colorful. It's red and blue. And I don't think I will be getting on this one because these screaming swing rides kind of freak me out.
You know what? I'll do it once, maybe at dark nights. It's probably the scariest thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, there was a whole lot more at IAAPA, and I encourage you to head over to attractionsmagazine.com and also look at our socials from last week for all the details because there's way too much for us to cover right now. Now we have some sad news to talk about. So we knew this was possibly coming after D23, but now it is confirmed that Muppet Vision 3D will be permanently closing at Disney's Hollywood Studios. But all is not lost for Muppet fans because it looks like they are going to be taking over the Rock and Roller Coaster in the same park. I have no good news for Steven Tyler and Aerosmith fans. Sorry, they will not be getting a 3D movie of their own.
You know what? They had a near 25-year run.
They had a really good long run. They've earned their retirement. But honestly, I'll do a little editorializing. I don't think the Muppets or Muppet Vision 3D is ready to retire yet. I still love it. I still see it every time I go to the park.
Same. And
there's not a lot in there that is dated, either technologically or in terms of references. I mean, there's that still holds up. But as of November 22nd, which was when the announcement was made, the clock is ticking on the Muppets. The official announcement said, quote, "As we move forward with these changes, we are having creative conversations and exploring ways to preserve the Muppet Vision 3D film and other parts of the experience for fans to enjoy in the future. My dearest hope is that they do a really good 360-degree 3D 8K recording and make it available on MetaQuest and Apple Vision and other VR headsets. That's the closest that I can imagine them coming to preserving. Because even if you just make the film, put the film on Disney Plus. It's
Right.
not the same as having, the Swedish Chef in the projection booth behind you and Sweetums running out into the theater. Just
So
won't
so
be.
my dream is let's
Yeah.
kick Lightning McQueen out. Let's get this little villain show testing for a year or two to tease Villains Land, and then let's do, a Jim Henson immersive experience.
Okay. I'm
Like
okay
a
with.
little part exhibit, museum, something like that. And then that could be the new Muppets courtyard over there.
I don't object to that, but I'm always going to be tied. This film was the last thing that Jim
Yeah.
Henson personally put his fingerprints on, and anything new that's Muppets, it'll still be the Muppets, but it's not Jim Henson's Muppets in quite the same way. And it's kind of like, it would be kind of like tearing up the original film print of Snow White, of Walt Disney's animated Snow White, because we've got a new live action version coming out. Anyway, so the positive side, if you believe that change and progress is always good, then the positive side is that we have some nice new concept art. This is concept art that I believe was actually created before D23, and they were going to release this at D23.
Oh,
and did
gosh.
it the very last second because they didn't want a riot. They
It
didn't
was
want
a
people
Honda
booing
Center riot.
at D23. But it clearly shows that what was the Muppet Vision Theater is still going to be a theater. They have pitched an all-new Monsters Incorporated show that is not the Laugh Floor show. The Laugh Floor show will continue to exist, at least for now, at the Magic Kingdom. There's even a little billboard in the concept art advertising it. So I don't know if that's like an in-universe joke, but we will just have to wait and see. There is no closing date yet for either the Muppet Vision show or Rock and Roller Coaster. I don't expect it to be until sometime in 2025. I think we're safe at least through the new year. They got enough other things to finish closing down over in Animal Kingdom first.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you have a winter trip, get your farewells in order. You have to hit this. You have to hit Dinosaur. You have to hit Magic Kingdom. I mean, there's a lot.
I mean, Rivers of America.
Yeah.
We know that the Hall of Presidents will not reopen in its current form. Again, with the current occupant of the White House leaving in January. And it usually takes them several months. I don't know if it will either be a much quicker changeover for Hall of Presidents, or it will be a very, very long changeover for Hall of Presidents. They have made no announcements of that. But yeah, there are a whole lot of things. If you like the Walt Disney World that exists today, you better get in your visits now in the next couple weeks or couple months.
Yes, I mean, they definitely
going away quick.
They're so ambiguous about how they say, you still have plenty of time, but like, how much time is that? We don't know. So ride every time like it's your last time.
Yep. I would like someone to maybe just check on Alicia Stella because Pizza Rizzo is going away, and I know that's going to be tragic for her.
She just posted a photo, and she has on like a funeral fascinator, the black fascinator over her head at Pizza
very
Rizzo
Victorian
right now. So I love the dramatics, and yes, I will miss it. I also think it's just really. It's definitely sad about Muppets Courtyard in general, because that was supposed to be the Muppets land way back in the early 90s. So there's little bits in there, like in Mama Melrose. Yeah, the food is not great, but the atmosphere has a lot of details in there and Easter eggs of what it was supposed to be before, which was the Gonzo restaurant. So I'm definitely going to spend some time in the coming weeks, like just looking through every inch, because we never know, and we don't know what's going to happen to any of this. But it is definitely any traces of the Muppets land as we knew it, as we know it.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to pick positive things out of all this. It looks like Mama Melrose is going to become Harryhausen's, the sushi restaurant from the films, which that really excites me.
Well, yes, I don't want any more Mama Melrose.
Yeah, and it's kind of exciting to think that the new Monsters Inc. roller coaster, which is going to be based on the hanging doors sequence that we've all wanted to ride through. it looks like that's going to be built on the plot of concrete, the foundation that was poured forever ago for the great Muppet movie ride.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
everything comes around full circle. Nothing ever gets forgotten at Disney World. Eventually, something will always get used, even if it
Yes.
takes 20 something years.
Absolutely. And you know what? I will say I am hyped for Rock and Roller Coaster. This looks like it's
Yes,
gonna be
this
amazing. I
for
mean,
me, this will be a definite improvement, especially if they can do mashups between the Electric Mayhem and some
mhm.
current musicians. I think that could be a lot of fun. I heard about the possibility of this project years ago while the Electric Mayhem TV series for Disney Plus was
Right.
in development, and kind of the pitch was that if that series hit and did really well, then that would lead to this. The series I thought was great, but did not get renewed. So I'm glad to see that this idea did not die along with that.
No, and I feel like that's the fate of the Muppets is every couple of years there's a little resurgence of interest
Mhm.
from Disney side. They do a little bit, then it flounders and we forget and we come back. But I mean, this has been like a hamster wheel that we've been on for 30 years of like they're going to do this and then it doesn't happen. But I mean, the characters are beloved. It is a
Yeah.
natural fit with this music festival that they're going to do. They could do holiday overlays. I mean, it's so much fun. And I love Rock and Roller Coaster as a ride itself. I feel like just the Aerosmith thing just got tired, which happens. You get fatigued after 25 years, but you do have a great ride. And I think this is going to be awesome. And it made me really happy to hear this.
My only caveat is that Rock and Roller Coaster is kind of like on the borderline of being too intense, both for the youngest kids who are the
Oh, yeah.
ones the Muppets were originally intended for,
Mhm.
and for us aging Gen Xers who grew up with Muppets, and maybe our bodies can't handle the launches quite as well anymore. So hopefully you're still in that sweet spot of being able to enjoy.
That is quite fair enough.
All right. So we will obviously have more news about this to come in the coming year. We also have some news over at Epcot about Soarin. After many years of people making jokes about the Eiffel Tower being bendy or needing Viagra, they have finally updated the final two scenes of Soarin at Epcot. I have not seen any reports whether similar changes have been made out in California or in any of the international parks yet.
I have seen that they haven't been made out in
Okay,
California just
so
yet.
for once, Florida is first, and
Wow, I'm so happy we got this.
they have two new scenes: the Paris scene at the end, followed by the flyover of Epcot, have both been updated. And the Paris scene, what they have done is pulled the camera way further back. If you look on YouTube at older videos, the camera originally started right close to the base of the Eiffel Tower, looking down, and then panned up, and you kind of traveled straight up the Eiffel Tower, very close to it. And if you aren't sitting in section B1, which is the dead center middle front of the Soarin Theater, if you are off to either side, the Eiffel Tower just looked like, it had that bent carrots disease that they keep showing me commercials about on
Yes.
TV.
It
Um,
was giving Leaning Tower of Pisa. I
yes,
mean, I don't know,
yes.
something absurd.
So this is not because they filmed it wrong necessarily. It's just a matter of optics.
Mhm.
The screen is a dome. It's curved, and it's kind of like looking at a basketball. You look at the seams on a basketball, and you have the vertical seam facing directly towards you. It looks like it's straight up or down. But if you move your head to the side, then that seam is curved. It's the same thing with when you put a very large vertical object in the middle of a domed projection screen. So it looked great if you were sitting in the dead center. If you knew to ask the attendant to wait an extra cycle so you could sit in row B1, you would always get a perfect seat, and everyone else would wonder, why is the Eiffel Tower all messed up?
Right.
So now what they've done is the camera shot, and I have to assume that either this is very good CGI or they flew a camera over to Paris to refilm this. But the camera is way, way further back, and it just sort of moves from the Eiffel Tower in the distance to kind of the middle distance. But like where the shot ends is about where the old shot would begin. So because it's further in the distance, the bendiness, it's still there if you're off to the side and you're looking for it, but it's just not nearly as pronounced. I kind of miss, if you're sitting in the center, the old version was really cool because it was like you were just going right up the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, it was really immersive. This is a little bit more like sitting back and looking at it and not really being there with it. But considering that only about the 1/3 of any given audience would see it correctly, and the other 2/3 of the audience were seeing something that was wonky, is probably a good choice.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely miss the charm of it because any of these little things of lore, but I think this makes much more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other change is they have swapped out the final shot. They used to go over the old version of Epcot with the old Fountain of Nations, which I miss still.
Yes.
And it had the big ball of Spaceship Earth before they put all the beacons of lights over it. So now you're flying over the current version of World Celebration with the new design in the center and the light pillars and the beacons of light. So it's just it's, I don't think most people probably even noticed that it was the old Epcot.
Right.
But it's, you know, for those of us who care, it's a nice little upgrade.
We care.
Yeah. Of course, the best upgrade of all would be to bring back Soaring over California.
Amen.
All right. And hopping from Disney to Universal, we have some amazing photos that Universal has released of the Harry Potter and the Battle of the Ministry ride, which is going to be the signature e-ticket in the new Harry Potter section of Epic Universe. And I got to say, the first time I looked at these pictures, I was like, oh, they showed us this concept art already. And I was like, wait, that's not concept art. That's an actual photo.
And not even that, it looks better than the concept art, which I can't
really?
remember ever saying.
Absolutely. We're gonna scroll through some of these, but we encourage you to go, as always, to attractionsmagazine.com to see these for yourself. You can zoom them in, and just the detail is amazing. And they all seem to be from kind of the cues and the pre-shows. I don't think we've even really seen the ride itself here. But I think for a lot of people, the queue and the pre-show is going to be an experience all of itself. I mean, we said that about Hogwarts Castle when Forbidden Journey opened, but I think this takes it to an even bigger level. I can't get over these shots. First of the Flu Network, where you're going to come through these ornate fireplaces, all this black and green tile arching overhead, and then you walk into the lobby of the Ministry. And I'm not even sure what I'm seeing. I know it is a photograph, but it really does look like a digital painting or a rendering. Where you've got,
and I think also they nailed the lighting package.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like it is like the concept art brought to life, but I know I kept staring at it. And
It
I'm like,
really looks like a shot from like a CGI shot from the movie.
Right.
Where you've got these stacks of offices ringing the central area. You've got the 3 massive statues in the center and then another statue up to the side. But then the ceiling, it looks like it's an open air ceiling that there's a lightning storm going on overhead. And I guess this is going to have to be some sort of projection dome. But it just looks great. And then you've got this giant banner. And I think that maybe this is going to be animated as well, of Dolores Umbridge wearing prison stripes, giving a notice that her trial is being held that day.
Yes.
And it just, I know people are going to like walk out of these Flu fireplaces and just stop dead, and the queue is not going to be able to move behind them because people are just going to like freeze in place looking at this.
Oh my God, yeah, you're going to be in awe. I mean, it just looks so grand too.
Yeah.
It's just massive space.
And if you zoom in, you can see underneath this archway where the big banner is, you can see way off into the distance. And I think this is a combination of maybe forced perspective sets with a digital backdrop that kind of creates the sense that this is a space that goes on forever. And to look up, I'm wondering if there's going to be any little animations or anything making it seem like there are people in these windows, but it looks like these are like full-sized offices with windows that you can look out, and they're stacked 3 and 4 high. It really has a huge sense of scale to it.
Absolutely. And I feel like after all the hype of Monsters Unleashed, now I have
Mhm.
that equal hype to this, that we're getting little nuggets more of
Yes.
pictures and information.
They're really trying hard to make like Monsters and Ministry of Magic like go head to head for which one I'm going to want to run to first when I get into the
Yes.
park. I definitely know I want to see the inside of Umbridge's office with all this pink and gold detail. It's got this elaborate chandelier because that's where you get to meet Higgly. Higgledy?
Yes. Higgly, I think.
Higgly. Okay.
Higgly.
She is a house elf. She is a new character that is being created just for the ride, and she was not treated very well by her mistress Dolores Umbridge, and is kind of helping get revenge on her now. So I'm very excited to meet her. The sculpt on the animatronic looks just adorable.
It
Um,
really does.
and then, of course, the folks from Mina Lima are back creating the Daily Prophet newspapers and other little ephemera that we're going to see in the queue. They just show us all these they're tiny little details, but it just gives this sense that they're really paying attention to creating a sense of place.
So
And
maybe it won't be so bad if we have to wait 3 hours.
yeah, I mean, it does look like a nice place to spend a long wait in,
And you're
for
indoors,
sure.
so I mean, I
Yes,
cannot complain.
yeah. Finally, we got a good look in the inside of the ride vehicles, and these look kind of almost more like the Gringotts elevator pre-show in terms of
Mhm.
style, crossed with a little bit of Jimmy Fallon's theater style seating because they're these red seats, kind of sort of
Tough leather,
ornate with
yeah.
tufted leather, and they are there's no lap bar, there's no overhead restraint, it's just a seat belt. So I guess in that sense, maybe it's closest to the Tower of Terror.
Mm.
But the layout, it appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seats up front, and then 8 seats in the back for a total of 14 seats in each vehicle. That's
Right. And the
the
Tower of Terror would make sense because of what they have told us so
Mhm.
far about the up and down and,
Yeah,
the Willy Wonka elevator-ness of it.
yeah, but we know that the actual ride vehicle, it's not a full-on elevator. It's not going up and down
Right.
multiple stories. It's probably closer to a scoop or, the Transformers ride vehicles, except with a longer travel distance. But I think it's neat that they really like put the four walls and the ceiling on top of this to really make it feel like an elevator car that you're in and not just a ride vehicle on a track. So I
Agreed.
cannot wait to see this.
Yeah.
If you are excited too, we've got a behind the scenes video on our website that Universal released of Imelda Staunton filming her scenes as Dolores Umbridge because she's going to appear. We think that it's going to be both on screen and also using a new kind of animatronic, animated figures that have video faces. We'll have to see how that turns out. We've seen some patents for that. So can't wait to see this
Yeah.
ride come to
The hype
life
is real.
May 22nd. I'm sorry, May 25th, 2025. And
So soon.
finally, this is not coming in 2025. This is going to come sometime in 2026 or 2027. But Minecraft, the insanely popular video game franchise, is coming to 2 theme parks. One somewhere in the US, one somewheres in the UK, coming courtesy of Merlin Entertainment and Mojang, the same folks who create the Legoland parks. So let the speculation begin as to
Yes.
where they are going to put this.
I'm gonna go with Alton Towers. I feel like they need
I
something new.
I think in the UK that could be a good choice. I know there is a Legoland in Windsor,
Windsor,
right? Yeah,
yeah. Mhm.
and then Alton Towers. So they have said that they are going to invest $110 million in the first 2 Minecraft themed attractions. They're not referring to them as parks, but attractions. But they say that they will include first of its kind concepts for guest accommodations, food and beverage, retail, and a ride.
Yes.
So, not a full scale park, not something that sounds like you could spend an entire day in, but something that has guest accommodations. So this makes me think that it's got to be attached to some sort of existing property, as you said, an Alton Towers, maybe. Here in Florida, it could be attached to Legoland, similar to how they have Peppa Pig attached to Legoland. Um, I don't know how you build uh, for $110 million a ride and guest accommodations and all the infrastructure for food and beverage and retail. So obviously it's got to be attached to some pre-existing park. But we don't know exactly where, we don't know exactly when. But they have promised that fans will be able to immerse themselves in Minecraft in, quote, ways that they've never imagined. This Scott O'Neill, who is the CEO of Merlin Entertainment, also noted that this is the best-selling video game of all time. So it will definitely have quite a bit of demand if and when it finally opens sometime in 2026 or 2027.
Yes, I am not a fan, not by any chance. It's just I don't play it, but I feel like it lends itself to the theme park immersive experience so well that I was very excited when I read this. There's so much to do.
The base game itself doesn't interest me, but
Yeah.
fans have done a lot of amazing things, especially theme park related, inside of Minecraft.
Right.
Back when COVID hit, I spent a bunch of time in Walt Disney World or other theme parks that had been rebuilt inside Minecraft. And recently they teamed up with Universal Studios to do a DLC with Universal rides. It was really fantastic. Unfortunately, they've just recently depreciated the version of it for Oculus, so you can no longer do it in VR. It's a shame.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to bring us to the end of this week's News in the Queue. And before we bring in our very special guest to get into this week's main event, it is time to hear a quick word from our sponsor.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MEI-Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI-Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
It's time for the main attraction!
All right, for this week's main attraction, we have our publisher, Matt, here, who has just returned from the christening of the Disney Treasure, the newest addition to Disney Cruise Line's fleet. And we've got 186 photos on our website. We could be here literally all day talking about everything there is to do and see on the Disney Treasure. But we want Matt to just take us through some of the highlights, some of your hot takes and first impressions, starting from the outside of this beautiful ship. What was the first thing that you saw or that you thought when you saw this and approached it?
Well, the first thing we did was the christening the night before.
Oh, okay.
They took us to one of the piers in New York City, and we looked. The ship was actually way out in the water from us, where they did a little drone show.
Oh.
Jordan Sparks sang. Some of it was live streamed. Of course, we have our video of it, of the drone show.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh D'Amaro was there next to Bob Iger, and they did a little talk. We have a video of that as well on our YouTube. But the drone show was amazing, and the ship looked good. I mean, it's an exact copy of the Disney Wish. So if you've seen that from the outside, you've pretty much seen this one from the outside.
And it still has that classic color scheme that I always love, the Mickey Mouse inspired kind of dark black blue with the yellow and the red, which is definitely the signature of the Disney Cruise Line. We've got some pictures of the ship, and like you said, that video from the ceremony. Go ahead and watch that. And then inside, I guess, the Grand Hall is sort of the main atrium. It's sort of the central hub of the ship. What did you think of that, especially compared to the one on its sister ship?
I liked it a little better. I like the color scheme, the blues, and there's a little story about how the water, the thing in the carpet in the middle is supposed to kind of represent a fountain in the middle of the atrium. And if you look at the stairways that come down, those are supposed to represent waterfalls coming down into. It's not something you'd probably pick up at first, but maybe after your 7-day cruise, you might pick it up.
Yeah. But, I have to ask. So I only saw these pictures, obviously, until I sail it. The one word that comes to mind is like luxe. Does it have a more luxe feel than the Wish? I mean, just everything's so just like colorful, vibrant, but like lugs, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look back at my pictures of the Wish to compare, but this one does look, fantastic. And like I said, I like the overall blue scheme of it better than the other ship. And then another thing, when we did our media preview of the Wish, the ship wasn't quite done. There was some pieces of tile that weren't quite in place. Whereas this one is now completely ready, completely done, and you'll see the finished product even if you're the first ones on.
Wow.
I like that there are some nice touches, nods to Walt and the company's history in the displays here that you have, along with this statue of Aladdin and Jasmine. I guess they're kind of the mascots of this area.
Yeah, and it's the first statue that's kind of floating. It's kind of like they're on their flying on their carpet there. And then next to it is down a little ways is the lamp that Genie's lamp. But it's and then if you look up in the chandelier, you'll see some images, and those represent what the statue is on all the other Disney cruise ships are. So you'll see Cinderella's slipper, I think, is in one of them. And some other things there. So little nods hidden in there.
Nice.
That is such awesome detail. But you're right. Most people miss it. But I mean, I love that you are sharing this because now I'll be on the lookout for it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the staterooms. I know that most of us don't spend a whole lot of time inside the stateroom because there's so much to do on the ship. But what did you think of your stateroom compared to some of the others? And did you get a chance to see some of these suites? Because the suites look amazing. We
got to go into 2 of the suites. The rooms are nicely decorated, but again, if you've been on the Wish, it's the same thing, just a different decor and different paintings and things, and different floors have different things.
What theme did your paintings have?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was Aladdin, the one I saw. Because that's one neat thing to look for. If you have a room with the bunk beds and you pull the bunk beds down above the top bunk bed, there's a little drawing with the genie up there, I think. So.
Very cool.
But the suites we saw, I'm in love with the funnel tower suite. That's the Epcot design one.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Epcot fan and Spaceship Earth fan, and there's nods all around to that.
Yes.
There it is. Yeah.
Love this little statue of Figment in his spaceman outfit.
There's a couple of statues of Figment, and then there's a Figment projected in like lights, almost looks like stars on the ceiling in one of the rooms.
That's great.
Incredible.
All right. Well,
we also saw the Royal Suite, which is more Aladdin themed. And that's it right there with the balcony with the
hot tub on the balcony. That's always a nice perk. Yeah. Beautiful.
Wow.
Well,
so as far as restaurants, I was going to say,
I want to hear about the food.
Yeah.
We only got to eat at one restaurant. We had lunch on the ship. We didn't sail on the ship. We came for a few hours and then left. But we ate in the Marvel restaurant and saw the new Groot show, which was pretty good, pretty cute. It's not as much of a story as the other one. It's more just like, here's a funny scene with Groot and Rocket. Here's another funny scene with Groot and Rocket. A little bit of a story. And then there's an Easter egg at the end, which we wrote about as well with the Young Avengers. It's kind of a quick thing that you might miss if you leave early.
Right.
Oh, so that's like a post-credit scene. You have to.
Yeah, exactly. It's reminiscent of the shawarma scene where they're just kind of sitting around on the ship and they're like, "What do we do now?" Like they're bored.
I seem to remember that the other Worlds of Marble show, there's an actual character, like a costume
Yeah.
character who
Yes.
comes through.
And
Was there one in this show?
no, this show didn't have any characters
Mm.
at all. And when you say on this ship, it's a 7 day, so you'll see that show with the character that we all know from the other ship. And then the next night you eat here, you'll see the Groot show.
Okay, so gotcha.
So just like
So
Coco,
it's not
this is
replacing the other
Coco.
one.
Yeah, just like Coco, the Coco restaurant, same thing. Plaza de Coco, you'll see one show the first time you eat there, and you'll see a different show the next time you eat there. And we saw one number from the Coco show, and we have a video of that on our website or on YouTube as well. And it was pretty good. Some new characters, and it's cool to see the people dressed up as some of the skeleton characters.
Yeah,
But,
so I was going to ask you because that's always my favorite dining on the Disney cruises is when we go to the theatrical ones like Frozen. How does that hold up to the other ones on Disney Cruise Line?
Well, we only fully did the Groot one. So the Coco one, we just went in, had like two little samples of something to eat, and then watched one number. So I can't tell you everything that's going to happen. They didn't show us any kind of, on the Wish, they have the animatronic Olaf that goes around and talks to people. I didn't see any sign of that, but we only saw one number from, 2 different shows. So I'm not sure. Maybe the characters will come around while you're dining. I'm not sure.
Awesome.
Gotcha.
And we had when we ate in the Marvel restaurant, we had samples of some of the foods at different restaurants. Everything we had, of course, was great.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite of what you tried?
No, not really. It's just nothing really stood out. I always love those red rolls that they bring in the Marvel restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
And then the third restaurant is 1923, which is themed to various Disney animation, has a lot of artwork and props.
Yeah, very similar to the Wish, but some different artwork.
Did you get to go see the Hook's Barbary?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay. That is what I'm excited for because I love that on the Wish.
They took our group around to certain locations, and we had like 10 minutes in each location.
Yeah.
And we had to move on to the next one, except for lunch.
So you didn't get to eat at Palo or
no,
okay.
Didn't even get to see it. But I was watching some of Mr. Tom Morrow's vlog, and he was in a different group, and they took him to some different places than where they took us. He got to see the spa, and we didn't.
I know you did get to see my most anticipated thing, which is the Haunted Mansion Parlor. There's a great video of this on our YouTube channel. Go check it out. Tell us what that experience was like.
Oh, I love that. That was awesome. Like I say, only 10 minutes. We saw one show, but they did let us know there's 8 different shows, and they play over like an hour and a half. So you got to spend a little time in there to see everything. And then even once you see a show, like when we saw the show, and that's what's in our YouTube video, you see Madame Leota in the mirror dance ball floating around. And then you look over on your left, there's something else happening. You look on the right, there's something else happening. So even if you see a show once, you're not going to catch everything that's happening. And I saw somebody else's video where they caught like the ballroom dancers in the mirror dancing around. I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
And the hitchhiking ghosts as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
this definitely looks like the most elaborate interactive bar that they've done on any of the cruise ships so far, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be just as popular as the Star Wars bar was on the Wish, if not more so.
Did they mention how they're going to manage capacity for this?
No, they didn't. I was talking to one of the Imagineers who helped create some of this stuff, and he's the one that told me it take like an hour and a half to see it all. I'm like, oh, I hope they'll let you stay, because that's going to be, that makes it worse with like Star Wars when there was no big shows. You just kind of saw the ships going by and in the mirror, so in the window, I guess. This one has specific things that are going to happen, so you got to spend even more time in there. So I'm not sure if they're going to kick people out. And I'll let you. We're doing a media cruise in a couple of weeks, just over 3 days. So, you going on that, Carly?
I am going on that, and I am going to spend a lot of money here. I am going to buy the Mariner mug if they have it for sale. But I am so eager to find out how we're going to get in, because on the Wish, if you remember, the first day they just let you. It was a free for all until they came up with a system. So I don't know what the answer is for this, because we already had Oga, so whatever, Hyperspace Lounge, but this is going to be insanity managing capacity.
I would assume they'll probably, whatever they settled on for Star Wars when it was as most popular, is probably what they'll do is probably a sign up at the beginning of your cruise. And if you don't get signed up, you don't get in. And I think, when it was free for all on the Star Wars one, you came in and looked around, but nothing was happening. It was just kind of in B mode. And that might be the way you might have to see this if you don't get reservations as well, which isn't it's still cool, but
my burning question is this chair actually from the Florida Haunted Mansion, or is it just a reproduction?
I didn't ask, and one of the reasons I didn't ask is because it can't be, because you can sit in it freely and take photos.
Yeah, that would be in the archives.
Something that was in the theme park, be set out for anybody. So there's some of the cups you can see, and
the grapes merch. I would definitely spend way too much money here, but if I was one of the cool kids going on that trip.
I did ask if there's some kind of $5,000 drink like they had in Star Wars, and they said no. Everything's on the menu, and what you see is what you get.
Interesting.
I did see though that the menu has like a secret code. Like there's a secret page in the menu you have to unlock. Yeah,
there's like a little puzzle, and you drag down words to spell out one of the sayings from the Haunted Mansion, and if you do, it unlocks a secret menu. I haven't had, like I said, 10 minutes in there, so I didn't get a chance to see what drinks it unlocked, but we do have a video of that.
Yes. And speaking of expensive drinks, I did see that Scat Cat's Lounge, that little cat drink, that is going to be a pricey drink. It was like $160 or something. I'm guessing high-end bourbon or.
Yeah, and I asked if they had. There's like a bowl that the drink's supposed to come in, and you drink out of this cat bowl.
Oh no!
They did not have those cups in yet, so hopefully they get them in before the actual sailing.
Wow!
They did have some regular size cups. That if you look down the bottom, there's a picture of a cat in it, and I think you can buy those. It was weird because like in the Periscope Pub, which you just showed there a minute ago, they didn't. They had a bunch of cool cups, but they weren't selling them. So I'm like, they need to sell every cool cup that they make. They need to offer it for sale.
For suckers like us, absolutely, we will be buying them all if given the opportunity.
Yeah, so in addition to the Haunted Mansion bar, there's also the Periscope Pub, which is inspired by the 20,000 Leagues, and the Skipper Society, inspired by Jungle Cruise. And I would spend a lot of time in both of these. Was there anything interactive or entertainment wise in either of these two bars to compare to the
Not too
Haunted
much.
Mansion one?
If you look at the picture of the Periscope Pub of the ceiling, you see fish swim by, like a shark or a manta ray may swim over you, and it's just like an outline of the fish.
But there isn't like a giant squid attack every 20 minutes.
No, they didn't have that. They didn't mention that. But
I will say, just based on photos, this is similar to like the Irish pubs that are on other Disney cruises. Those are very bare. So to have these highly themed spaces that were on previous cruises, just kind of like, cool, but just minimal spaces. I love this. This is awesome.
The press release mentions that it's all designed after the movie. And when we're doing interviews inside the pub, the Imagineer, whoever it was we talked to, said it's based on the movie and the attraction. So I specifically said, what in here is specifically based on the attraction? And the only thing I could point to was one of the statues of one of the squids was from Disneyland Paris version.
Interesting.
But then for the Jungle Cruise restaurant, nothing that I know of happens at all in there.
No tiki birds or anything like that.
No singing tiki birds. I did ask if
just in the lamp.
And I did ask if they the waiters would tell you funny jokes, and they said, it's kind of up to the individual waiter. So you may get a funny one, you may not. So
depends on how you tip
references to sea? I know it was like really hard to like look at these pictures through a picture. So were there like society Easter eggs planted?
That's a good question. I need to go back and look at my photos and zoom in.
I was trying to zoom in a little bit.
I did ask. There's two. If you look at that little seating area with the photos all around it, there's two of those, one on each side of the bar. And I said, there's pictures in there of some skippers and stuff. I said, are those pictures of Imagineers' families and stuff? And they said yes. Those are the one on the. If you're facing the bar, the one on the left is is from the Imagineering in California, and the one on the right is some photos of some of the staff from Germany from the shipbuilding where they were helping build the ship.
Oh, I love that. That is really cool.
And of course, these paddles represent 1955 for the opening day of the original Jungle Cruise and 71 for Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I'm sure there's all kinds of nods in there. I just need to take time and zoom in there and find some of those.
It's going to be a intense 3 days. So seeing this makes me excited, but also nervous.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is just next
It
level.
really does seem like you would need a full 7 days on this ship.
Yeah.
But I will say, some of the areas of ship are exactly the same as on the Wish. Not too many, but like a kids area, the Star Wars cargo bay and everything, that's all exactly the same as you saw on the other ship. The Imagineering kids area has some few different props, but everything else is exactly the same. So there's some things that you had to make sure you saw on the Wish that you won't have to on the Treasure.
Interesting. And I saw there's still that atrium slide for kids.
Yeah. That's fun.
What about entertainment? Did you get to see anything of the Moana show or any of the other entertainment on the show?
We saw the first act of the Moana show, and they had some technical difficulties, had to stop and restart. But of course, it's not even fully launched yet.
Right.
But they did a great job. It was really entertaining. I didn't get to see up to where what's his name, the guy that Brock plays. We're all having a brain. Anyway,
I only saw the movie once.
I like the music. I didn't
get to see his character come out, but I saw, and it's interesting because her grandma tells the story kind of beyond the grave, tells back at how it happened. But and then the first Moana that you meet is a toddler Moana, and it's played by with a puppet. And that was kind of cute.
That's cute.
And then they have a teenager Moana, or I think she was 8, and that is one actress that looks really young. I don't know how old she really is. Looked like a kid. And then for the rest of the play, it's a more grown up Moana.
Wow. And so this ship is also playing Beauty and the Beast. On 7-nighters.
Yeah, and the other show with the characters as well.
Correct. Yeah.
So
those the adventure.
Yeah, both those shows are repeats, but the Moana show's brand new.
And there's also another theater. I'm not sure what the equivalent to this is on the other ships.
I can't remember the name of it on the other ship, but it's the exact same theater they had.
Called Sarabi.
Yeah.
On this one.
Yeah, and it's just for like games that they play and different things there.
As you mentioned, the kids clubs pretty much exact copies, but you've got the Marvel area, that Imagineering lab, and you do have that slide from the upper deck down.
Yeah, the slide when you get to the bottom part where you enter the club, the slides decorate a little differently, as you can see right there.
Yeah.
I missed the window to go on it on the Wish, so that is like a top priority for me to go on that.
Speaking of slides, did you get to do the Aqua Mouse or any of the other water slides?
We were in New York City, and it was
a little chilly,
degrees, so we didn't want to go on that.
You're gonna let that stop you?
If they'd offered for me to do it, I probably would have.
Yeah, for research.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't blame you. At IAAPA there was an underwater VR thing, and it was outside.
Yeah.
And it was about 60 degrees out, and they said, "Oh, we've got a bathing suit if you want to change right here." And I said, "I'll pass. It's okay. Thanks.
So, and the pool and everything, it's basically exactly the same as the Wish, where it's those little compact pools.
Yeah, everything's exactly the same. We went over by the kids splash area, the Toy Story splash area. It looked exactly the same. So
any cool merchandise that you spotted?
We didn't get to go in the store. Some of those photos are ones I took, and some are ones that Disney provided, like that one there. So I peeked through the window, and they had a lot of different inaugural merch that looked pretty cool. They had pins and shirts and hats and mugs and ornaments and a little bit of everything.
Yes, and I love how the color scheme really complements like the Grand Hall.
Everything got that blue tint. Yeah.
And did they give you a look at the spa? Because the rainforest room is always my favorite.
Yeah, no, we didn't get to go in there. So,
all right. Well, any other thoughts or hot takes
Yeah.
No,
on the
I mean,
Disney
if you're going to
treasure?
go, make sure you figure out what the procedure is, and I'll find out when we go, and I'm sure Carly will ask as well, for getting into the Haunted Mansion lounge. And keep in mind, even what they tell us may change by the time it really goes. So
Yeah.
make sure you find out for sure as soon as you get on board, how, if you want to go in the Haunted Mansion, that you find out how to do it and get signed up.
I know a
And
lot
then,
of other cruise lines. There are a lot of things that you have to basically book the second you get on board, or you're just out of luck. And Disney has kind of not done that for the most part, but it sounds like for some of these experiences, they're going to have to go to that
yeah, the
route.
only thing that Disney has, you did have to do that for, is character meets.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Mm-hmm.
on some past ships you had to book as soon as you got
Mm-hmm.
on, and they don't even widely advertise it. Like, you could meet Anna and Elsa when they were first on the ships, but you had to know
Really?
to go sign up for it. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't hurt to go ask. And when you get on the ship,
Yep.
what can I sign up for? Are there any characters? As far as all the other pubs and lounges and restaurants, you won't need to make reservations or worry about getting into any of those. The Jungle Cruise one is wide open for anybody to walk. You have to walk past it just to get into the rest of the ships.
Right, because that was Princess and the Frog. On
Yeah,
the
So it's kind of open to the lobby
right.
area.
And Periscope Pub, because there's no show there. It's and the Haunted Mansion is way more popular than 20,000 Leagues. You won't have any problem getting in there as well. And beware on the Periscope Pub, on certain days when there's a big sports games playing, they'll have the NFL or whatever on those TVs in there, which kind of ruins the vibe of being underwater. But
Oh yeah. Now that you've had a little taste, what can't you wait to fully experience? Like, besides Haunted Mansion, because I know
I was gonna say,
everyone's favorite. What
Yeah.
can you wait to see, like, the full thing of?
well, besides Haunted Mansion, because that is the thing
Yeah.
I really want to check into. I don't know. I guess just to experience the like the Jungle Cruise. What's it like to sit down there and try? I tried like a couple of drinks, but all those places we talked about have really cool drinks, the alcoholic and non-alcoholic. So I really want to go and try some of those and see what my favorite is.
Yeah, that Empress mug that I saw photos of in the Skipper Society, is that going to be for purchase, or that's just for there?
That's a good question. I didn't find out every mug. Like I said, some of them seem like they should be for sale and they weren't. But I think that one is for sale. I think you can get that one.
Yeah. So bring in extra luggage. And on Disney Cruise Line, you can bring 2 pieces besides your backpack. So maybe bring an extra luggage piece, because everything looks so good.
Yeah, and it's sailing out of Port Canaveral, so drive your car over there so you have plenty of room. You don't have to put it on an airplane, but add a little trip. But then, of course, you got to get it home. And they're breakable, so you may want to ship them home.
Yes,
so.
very scary, but I'm so excited. I can't wait.
These sound like good problems to have. I can't wait to hear about it when you guys go and see it on that media sailing coming up.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that just about brings us to the end of this episode. Before we go, of course, we want to thank our sponsor, MEI and MEI-Travel, and remind all of you, please give us a rating and review, whether you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or if you are watching us here on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. Please be sure to follow us at attractionsmagazine.com. Search for Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media platforms. Carly, where can folks find you on socials?
Yes, I am on Instagram at Adventures by Carly, and I am on X and TikTok at Carly Caramana.
Matt, where can folks keep up with you?
I'm on most of the socials. I as well signed up for Blue Sky just to see who wins this war between X Threads and Blue Sky. So I'm Attractions Matt on all of those. So
and I'm on all those also at Eskuberski, and you can also find me and my books at theunofficialguides.com. My brand new Universal book comes out this week, so pick up a copy. And until next week, we hope you folks stay safe, try something new, enjoy your turkey, and most importantly, have fun. We will see you again next time. Bye.
have fun.